Citation 208 is the obituary for H. Lee Bush from the Detroit Free Press, July 31st, 2002. H. Lee Bush was the father of Christopher Bush, and H. Lee, was an executive financial director at General Motors and was very wealthy and very powerful in his position there. And this is the obituary from his passing in 2002. H. Lee, age 90, of Essex Meadows, Connecticut, died Tuesday at home. He was the husband of Elsie Bush. He was born in Hillsdale, Michigan on April 6, 1912, son of the late Charles and Lida Schulte Bush. He received a master's degree from Michigan State University. He was an executive financial director in Europe and the USA for General Motors for 40 years. He was a member of the Senior Men's Club in Birmingham, Michigan, where he lived for many years before moving to Essex, Connecticut, 5 months ago. Besides his wife, he's survived by his son Charles Bush of Haddam Neck, Connecticut, 3 grandchildren, Alexander Bush, Scott Bush, and Brent Bush, also a great-granddaughter, Samantha Bush. He was predeceased by 3 sons, John, Christopher, and David. A memorial service will be held on Tuesday, 11 a.m., at the Kirk in the Hills Church, 1340 West Long Lake Road, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Contributions in his memory may be made to the Kirk in the Hills Church. The Robinson Wright and Waymer Funeral Home, 34 Main Street, Centerbrook, Connecticut, is in charge of arrangements. Citation 209 is the FBI report on the interview with Charles Nels Bush from April 22, 2008. Charles Nels Bush is one of the older brothers of Christopher Bush. Charles advised that Chris was born in Pontiac, Michigan, and prior to the age of 10 had lived in Rochester, New York, Short Hills, New Jersey, and Germany, in that order. These were all family moves pertaining to their father's career at General Motors. By age 10, Chris was living in Germany and attending the first grade. While their family was settled in Germany, both Charles and Chris attended a grade school and high school at a boarding school in Switzerland called La Rosie. After his graduation from La Rosie, completion of the 12th grade, Chris stayed at La Rosie as an instructor. Chris then returned to the United States and attended Wayne State University, which was associated with Frank Sheldon, in Detroit for 1 year. Chris then transferred to a culinary institute in Midland, Michigan, from which he eventually graduated. After this, Chris worked as a chef at a retirement community in the Detroit area for approximately 1 year. After this, Chris, with the financial assistance of his father, opened his own restaurant in Alma, Michigan, called The Scotsman. During the time period Chris was operating this restaurant, which Charles advised was in Chris's mid to late 20s. Chris was arrested for molesting a boy in Birmingham, Michigan. This boy, the complainant or victim in the molestation case, had been mentored by Chris in the Big Brother program, a program Chris had become involved in. Charles believes that Chris also knew this boy's mother and that she possibly worked as a cashier at the Fisher's Meat Market in Birmingham, Michigan. This report, by the way, comes courtesy of Simon Dovey's personal website, the Hotstar, hotstar.net. Excuse me. 2 more portions of this report I wanted to add. These are not cited by Dovey, but I think they're so significant in what they reveal, I wanted to feature them here. So at this point in the interview, Charles is basically requesting that a series of wishes be granted to him for him to then cooperate in giving over his DNA to the police. And one of the wishes that he's requesting is very telling here. So, sorry this is smaller font, but Bush was cooperative during his interview, but indicated his anxiety and apprehension toward any recall of his brother Chris Bush's suicide, and any involvement Chris would have had in the captioned investigation. Bush requested that the following be executed should positive results be obtained with his DNA, and/or any public announcement naming Chris Bush as the Oakland County child killer. Number 1, direct notification to him and his wife prior to this announcement. Number 2, the utilization of Detroit victim witness personnel to the survivors of his brother John Bush, who currently reside in Michigan. So what he's saying here is, so basically John Bush, who is another older brother of Chris, it was revealed later that both of his sons are believed to have also been molested by Chris. And Charles here is, in one of his requests, is that these survivors, the sons of John Bush, go into the witness protection program. Yeah. And this was also very telling from the same report. At one point, it's noted that Charles advised that his family never talked about the Oakland County child killing case or whether Chris could have been involved. Charles advised that later in life, his father shredded all of the family documents to include birth certificates, which Charles stated was strange. Strange indeed. Citation 210 is the case notes of Detective Corey Williams. This is from June 30th, 2009. Interview of Detective Tom Waldron, Flint Police Department. I went to interview Tom Waldron today about Bush and Green back in 1977. Gary Gray went along and took the notes. Waldron remembered the case involving Chris Bush and Greg Green very well and said he and others were flattened when Cabot passed to them on the polygraph in regards to the OCCK case. Waldron said he couldn't believe it, and said he and the others all thought for sure they were the guys involved in the child killings. Waldron said that he remembers that Deputy Oakland County Prosecutor Dick Thompson came up to Flint in a snowstorm that day. Waldron added that Thompson was a bigwig in Oakland County and would not have come up there if they didn't think they had the killers. I asked Waldron what he thought when I told him that Bush and Green should not have passed the polygraph. Waldron was shaken by this, hung his head, and said this should have been solved 32 years ago. He stated that Bush and Green met each other in a bar in Oakland County, which would have been early in 1976, stating further that this is when they probably discussed their common interest in children. Waldron told us that Bush and Green were into exchanging kids and would meet at a gravel pit in Holly, Michigan, northern Oakland County, to swap the kids. He said that Green would bring a boy from Flint and Bush would bring one from who knows where. Waldron said that this gravel pit is in the same area in Holly that they brought Bowman when they molested him. In fact, Bowman was the one that pointed out the gravel pit to Waldron. Waldron told us that Bowman was a kid that Bush and Green could really push around, stating that Green had choked Bowman to near death in the past when he wasn't cooperating. Waldron started talking about when he and a couple other detectives drove to Alma to arrest Chris Bush. Waldron talked about Bush owning and operating a restaurant in Alma that was purchased by his father, H. Lee Bush. He said that after they arrested Bush, they searched his house and found ropes, shotguns, marijuana, and a suitcase with child pornography. Waldron described the pornography as being 8 to 10 8mm type homemade movies involving children having sex in a tent in a wooded area. Waldron said that you could see the arm of an adult male in the movie directing the kids on what to do sexually because they didn't know. He stated that this suitcase also contained commercially produced child porn magazines, photos, and movies. Waldron said that this property was all confiscated and brought to the Flint Police Department as part of their case. He went on to say that he remembers at some point in February or March of 1977, the FBI came and picked up the suitcase of pornography to analyze the victims involved. and was never seen afterward. Nothing came of it. Citation 212 is Southfield PD, City of Livonia Narrative Report, complaint number 7603079, Detective Lauren Doan, interview of Christopher Bush, January 28th, 1977. This comes from Dovey's website, The Hot Star. And when you see City of Livonia there, keep in mind about 2 months, more or less, after this, Timothy King, final victim of the Oakland County child killings, will be found dead in Livonia, which wasn't a city where any of the other victims were found dead. He admits he's a homosexual and strictly likes young boys 10 to 15 years old. He states approximately 1.5 years ago, he picked up a young boy at 9 Mile and Woodward in Ferndale. He stated he thinks he was 15 or 16 and did not know his name or remember what he was. And it kind of cuts off there. Could be wearing. He states he did not molest the boy, but dropped him off in Royal Oak near 13 Mile and Woodward. He states he comes down to the Detroit area to pick up young boys. This is Chris himself saying this. He states in approximately 1971 he was involved in the Big Brother program and had a little brother in Berkeley named Mike Boldiar, white male, 18 and then redacted, who lived in the 12 Mile and Greenfield area. He states he took him to Hartfield's bowling alley and also to the 7-Eleven store. He states he never sexually molested this boy. He states he's involved in the Big Brother program in Alma and was with the Big Brother in Midland. Officers advised him. Greg Green told these officers that he, Bush, had killed Stebbins. Officers told him Green had confronted him with this. Bush denied any involvement with Stebbins and stated Green had never confronted him about it. He states he and Green had discussed their sexual fantasies together, and they wanted to kidnap a young boy, tie him up, and sexually abuse him. One would get a job in the day and the other at night, so that one would be with him all the time. When asked what would happen when they were through with him, he would not answer. Citation 213. This is the Genesee County Jail inmate record, complaint number 30921, inmate number 7700487, Christopher Bush, released January 31st, 1977 at 2:05 p.m. So you can see here a very bizarre turn of events in that in this red box here you could see bond originally set for $75,000. This is when Chris is in jail. It is then suddenly reduced, you can see here, to $1,000, which is then quickly paid. So it's $75,000 to $1,000, which Daddy quickly pays for. Chris goes free January 31st. Citation 214 is Flint men accused of sex with boys. The Lansing State Journal, February 18, 1977. 4 Flint men have been charged with engaging more than 30 boys in oral sex and sodomy and photographing the acts, the Genesee County Prosecutor's Office announced. 3 of the men have been arrested on charges of first and third degree criminal sexual conduct. Prosecutor Robert F. Leonard said Thursday. A fourth is being sought on similar charges. The boys ranged in age from 10 to 14. The prosecutor refused to reveal the identities of the men. The prosecutor said an 8-week probe failed to turn up indications of an organized ring. Sure. But Leonard said some of the men knew each other and traded or referred the boys to other men, which would be a ring. This is a second source for Citation 214. This is the very next day. 3 named in sex case, also from the Lansing State Journal, February 19th, 1977. The names of 3 of the 4 men charged with sexually exploiting 30 boys in a sex for favor scheme have been revealed by Genesee County authorities. The 4th man is being sought by police in the Akron, Ohio area. Genesee County authorities Friday released the names of 3 of the 4 men charged with sexually exploiting 30 boys in a sex for favor scheme. Genesee County Prosecutor Robert F. Leonard also said more arrests may result from the probe of alleged sexual abuse. Questioning of 10 more boys has begun in the case. The county prosecutor says the boys were involved in oral sex and sodomy. We're building more cases and there may be additional arrests, said Assistant Prosecutor Lenore Ferber. 3 of the men named in the case are Christopher Bush, Douglas Bennett, and Gregory Green. She said all were Flint area residents less than 35 years old. The 4th man named in a warrant is being sought by police in the Akron, Ohio area. The boys involved range from age 10 to 14. So we are now getting horribly, horribly close to the abduction and murder of Timothy King. And this is what Christopher Bush is out and about doing in the time immediately leading up to that. Citation 215, new sex charges filed in Oakland. The Detroit Free Press, March 1st, 1977. A Birmingham man is scheduled for arraignment Tuesday in 52nd District Court on charges that he allegedly had sexual relations with a 12-year-old boy in northern Oakland County. This is referring to James Gunnels. The 12-year-old is James Gunnels. Christopher B. Bush, previously charged with 2 other men in similar cases, was arrested in the latest case Monday by Michigan State Police in Ionia. According to prosecutor L. Brooks Patterson, Bush met a boy in Genesee County and drove him to Grove Township in Oakland County, where the sexual acts allegedly occurred. Bush's arrest resulted from an Oakland County investigation into the kidnapping of 6 county youngsters in the past 13 months. Bush has been cleared in all 6 of the slayings. He is to be arraigned before District Judge Gerald E. McNally in the Oakland County case. He was released on $1,000 cash bond in Genesee County on the sex charges there. Jesus Christ. Bush is one of 3 men arrested by Flint police last month on other multiple charges of criminal sexual conduct involving young boys there. Bush and the other 2 men, both of Flint, allegedly used gifts, threats, and physical force to persuade 12 to 14-year-old boys to engage in sexual acts and lewd photography sessions. Bush has been charged by the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office on 2 counts of third-degree criminal sexual conduct in the earlier cases. So, once again, March 1st here, closer and closer. Citation 216 is Detective Corey Williams' interview of James Gunnels. So this is much later now, an adult James Gunnels. It's also an interview conducted by Corey Williams, but also Detective Gary Gray. I believe detective. Law enforcement of some sort. I'm just going to read the dialogue, and you can follow along with who is saying what. And you mentioned something about he used or he may have used force with you. Yeah, he tried to go anal on me. What was that? Was that at the house in Alpena? And that was at the house. And what happened there? I fought him off the best I could. He didn't penetrate me. He told me, now I'm screaming. I'm literally screaming. And that was the first time he had ever showed any kind of film footage of child molestations. I'm talking about a big screen rolled down on, the TV like a projector. Oh, you mean a movie screen? A movie screen. Something is unclear. Then a projector? Yeah, he had that, and he had the thing right there in the bedroom and dropped it down and started playing footage of, and these weren't adult films. These were kids being molested. Now, whether he was the person in it, I can't remember. I was so freaked out about the whole thing, and I was, of course, again, stoned. Had kids being molested by adults? Yes. In the movie? Yes. Okay. And it was I can't remember if he was the person in it or if there was another person, or you remember the victims, children, were they boys or girls or boys? Just boys? Yep. They like a homemade movies? Yeah. Those type? Yeah, yeah, but it was a film like 8 millimeter. James Gunnell says something unclear. Gary Gray says something unclear. Then this is jumping forward a little bit. Okay, so did he ever? I don't know if I asked you this. Were any of the kids in the movie? Do you remember were they tied up? Yeah, they were. That's what freaked me out about it, man. I mean, I remember running out in the living room, getting away. Literally, he was trying to do anal. Okay.